Alright, hello and welcome to the week 2 update video to the Trickster Int-stacker. I've made quite a few changes to the build, but they actually aren't tied to upgrades and gear-wise. I actually haven't changed very many pieces at all. Two are different, which I'll go over in a bit. But yeah, the build is quite a bit tankier now and has quite a bit more damage, and I think it just feels really good. And obviously still has super far way to go, since pretty much every gear, like I said in the last video, can still be upgraded quite a bit. That hasn't changed since I haven't upgraded very much gear at all, but yeah, that's that's just makes it more fun. We have more room to grow. So the first thing you might notice when you're watching this footage of me clearing a 100% deli, I think this map had like 5,000-ish wisps in it. So pretty juiced, not like the most juiced, but pretty good. And obviously 100% deli is 100% deli, which is the types of maps I've been farming a little bit on this character. Is that I'm now using Nimis. So yes, I swapped over from returning proj to Nimis. I didn't do this originally. Obviously, I knew about Nimis being good, but the original reason why I didn't want to play with the Nimis was that with the way kinetic bolt of fragmentation sort of works with Sniper's Mark, having just random directions initially kind of grieves you a little bit, because obviously you want to funnel all your initial projectiles into the Sniper's Mark target in order to have them all split. So if you have random directions, that gets a lot harder. However, after trying Nimis out, I think even if you miss a few of those projectiles, and obviously what you can do is you can stand literally inside the boss and then everything will hit. So that's sort of the idea, especially on big bosses. It's really easy to hit with everything, and obviously then your damage is just completely insane because you don't have the less damage penalty from the returning proj gem, and you just get these like 70+ hits per cast, and it's just like insane. But even without it, you can get pretty close, and it's pretty alright. And considering the fact that you both don't get the 70% less damage or whatever on the returning proj for the returning projectiles, and you get an additional damage support on your links, I think that more than makes up for the fact that you might miss a few hits on some of the smaller enemies. And it makes the clear feel amazing. Anyone who's been in the 5-way sort of recognizes this, right? Kinetic Blast with Nimis just feels so good to clear with. It's actually insane. I also threw in, instead of, which I used before, I used Volatility in the Kinetic Blast link. Now I threw in an Awakened Fork, which makes it just feel amazing to clear with. It's it's a real dream mapping this character, honestly. It feels so good. So I'm super happy about that, and I think Nimis is actually very good. I think once you get a mirror tier ring, which has like +1 power charge and like int and spell damage power charge on it, on the implicits, and a bunch of good craft as well, I think at that point Nimis might be more questionable, because at that point obviously the opportunity cost is that you could be using a Killarness Touch, which would then basically give you 2 of that really juiced ring, and that would be an immense amount of power. So at that point, maybe it is worth dropping Nimis. I could definitely see that, and probably would be, but obviously I don't have that ring yet. It's, yeah, not quite there yet. I tried crafting one, but it didn't turn out. So yeah, so for now I think Nimis is just the way to go, and yeah, it makes maps feel so good. So yeah, let's go over exactly what I did to the character. So in game here, first of all, let's go over some of the gear changes. So obviously I'm using a Nimis instead of the Killarness Touch I had before, which copied my ring here. It's, the ring isn't fantastic. I haven't changed pretty much any of this gear. The boots are the same, ring and amulet the same, shield, helmet, wand, gloves, it's all the same. I want to improve these obviously, but yeah. So using Nimis, I think Nimis is very good. I'm very happy with it. I should probably quality this up to 20 instead of 1, but yeah, you know how it is. I also changed the chest. So before I used an influenced Vol Regalia, I decided to try and go a little bit more defensive with it, and I'm not using an influenced chest anymore. I'm using just a regular status garb here with Eldritch and Eater influence. So this gives me, I have a crafting video coming up on this, by the way, which is kind of nice. It's not like a the most amazing chest ever, but it is very good, I think. So it gives me, importantly, it gives me a full 22% chance to suppress spell damage. This is actually pretty big, because what this allows me to do is I could drop the suppression wheel I had before. So before I was pathing, I think in the last video I was even pathing down here. I pretty quickly dropped this and instead started pathing to this spell suppression cluster. However, now with the 22% on this, and I forget if I had suppression on the that was taken before, but yeah, with all this and stuff now, I can actually drop this entire cluster. That could be 4 points, and this all combined let me now go back to pathing over here, because this pathing over here on the tree is actually, it is a bit better for multiple reasons. For one, the travel nodes are all ints, which actually does add up, and it matters quite a bit. You can see that right now I'm at 1300 int, which is quite nice. I actually dropped a little bit of int. I would have been at like 1500, obviously, it was because before I was mirroring, I was Killarness touching this ring, which has a bunch of int on it. So I think with another one of these rings, I'd be at like 1500. compared to the 1200 or whatever I had in the last video. But obviously with Nimis, that drops the int a little bit. But yeah, so we get to path over here, get all the int travel nodes. We also get access to the armor and energy shield mastery for 10% PhysDR with this mastery, which is very strong. So we get an additional power charge, which is very nice. And yeah, I moved this cluster from over here to over here. So very nice way of solving spell suppression. Also, this chest just has a bunch of evasion on it, which is really good because obviously with since we're a trickster, we get the escape artist node, which converts evasion rating on our body armor into energy shield. Well, not converts, it just adds energy shield based on the evasion rating. So it actually gives us a bunch of energy shield, and this actually gives slightly more energy shield than the Vault Regalia, plus it gives us a bunch of evasion. So currently sitting at, I think, yeah, 51,000 evasion, which is really nice. So it's way easier to, I think even in maps where the monsters have increased accuracy, I think I'm even then basically evade capped, which is quite nice. And it gives also reservation, which I will mention here in a bit why I need that. Reservation, I think, is quite important on this build right now, actually. So yeah, I'm very happy about this. As for the implicits, I went for the less damage taken per int, which I think is pretty good. It's just basically, you know, a few % less damage taken, which is it's never bad, and it's always going to get better as we get more int. Then our effect, I think, is probably the best one out of the Searing Exotic implicits. It's quite nice. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now, what do we need? Why do we need a reservation? You can also see that I'm taking the reservation mastery here, or mana mastery rather, for the reservation. At some point, maybe I'll try and get a reservation, maybe on that which was taken, or maybe one of the charms or something, in order to drop this. But yeah, so I need reservation because I've moved the sniper's mark setup. Last time I think I even casted it manually or something, right? Which was kind of awkward. But I'm now using a Spellslinger for just Sniper's Mark, and this feels amazing. So the problem I have with Sniper's Mark, right, if you use Mark on hits, is that Mark on hit has a 4-second cooldown, and it only targets rare and unique enemies. In these really juiced sort of delirium maps with a league mechanic where you get like, you know, 6k juice and everything's like basically, it feels like it's 200% delirious, like it's so tanky. It's really annoying to, for one, only have the marks happen on rare enemies, because sometimes you get like a straggler blue mob, which is just a giga tanky because of all of their juice, and then you don't have a mark on it, which means your single target is just completely gimped. So that was really annoying, and the mark on it has a really long cooldown, so you can see the cooldown time is 4 seconds there. So a lot of the time I had like 2 rares, and then I would kill one, and I have to wait for 2 seconds for it to mark the other one, which would just obviously be very slow. So yeah, this build is very reliant on Sniper's Mark for single target, obviously, and you need quite a bit of single target for some of the really tanky mods in some of these giga juice maps, which I think is quite nice, actually, that we can juice maps to this difficulty. It's kind of cool. Obviously, self-casting sort of solves to this, but it's like kind of annoying. Like, I don't mind manually casting like curse and stuff, but like Sniper's Mark is like you curse one enemy and then you have to do it over and over. Like it's not a pleasant experience, single target, you know, manually cursing with Sniper's Mark, I'm gonna say. So Spellslinger just solves every issue. So Spellslinger, if you don't know, it's sort of like, you can think of it as mana forged arrows for bows, but for wands, and instead of going off mana calls, it's like an aura. It reserves mana per skill you have linked to it. So the opportunity cost is a lot higher. It's actually quite a bit worse, I think, than mana forged. But for this, I think it is worth it. And this is a 24% reserve right now, I think, for one skill. So I'm currently only reserving Sniper's Mark to it. But Spellslinger has a cooldown of 0.6 seconds, and it just triggers all the time, and it doesn't have a mana multiplier to it. So that means that our Sniper's Mark is really cheap. It costs 22 mana, and it just triggers constantly at 0.4 seconds, which means that also on all targets. So it'll target magic mobs, white mobs, anything you're attacking is going to get Sniper's Mark pretty much, and it's such a nice quality of life. And not even that, I think it's just core to the build. I think it's very. If you're playing Kinetic Bolt or Fragmentation, I think you probably really want to try Spellslinger. Like, it's, I would never go back now after trying this. It feels so incredibly much better that it just feels super, super good. So that was a big change. Obviously, I had to fit this in. I wanted to keep all my auras alongside the Dread Banner. So yeah, I had to fit this in. So I got another Enlighten, and I got the reservation on the tree, obviously. So we still have the reservation over here, and then I got the mastery for the extra reservation, and that let me fit it in. So that is pretty cool. As for other stuff, I'm still using the Born in the Shadows jewels that I think is really strong. They have gone up in price a lot. All the Forbidden jewels have gone really expensive. I think multiple people are doing Trickster, unfortunately, this league, so I'm, sorry if you can't get this jewels, but yeah, I know. It's just kind of the way it is. For some maps, when I get a lot of blue juice, I will do a swap. So I'll swap to Forbidden Festival Flame for Mistwalker. Mistwalker gives you elusive on crit, and basically, most importantly, it makes you crit immune while elusive. So basically, you have permanent crit immunity. Obviously, when you have a bunch of blue juice in a map, blue juice scales the crit of mobs, so they get real dangerous. So in that case, I actually swap these in to get crit immune, and then I put on that which was taken, which is pretty similar to the one I'm using, but instead it has blind on hits, so we're still getting a source of blind, which is nice. We actually don't really need it. I think I am evade capped even without blind, but only barely. So if they have any source of like increased accuracy or whatever, I wouldn't be evade capped. So I just like having blind there as an extra safety net. So I do this swap whenever I get a map with like, I don't know, like 5k blue juice or something, and deli. If it's not deli, it's usually fine, but if it's deli and that juice, it gets kind of rough. So I do that swap and it feels pretty good. Otherwise, I changed some things in the Ascendancy as well. I swapped from, this is kind of weird, but I swapped from Soul Drinker into the Spellbreaker node in order to get suppression. This is actually a really strong node. First of all, the 10% extra suppressed spell damage prevention is really strong. We are on full energy shield pretty much all the time, most of the time anyway, because of all the recovery we have. And importantly, the 50% chance for energy shield recharge to start when you suppress spell damage is actually very, very powerful. I'm sort of joined this from Captain Lass's Trickster build, this tech of going this node and then doing a Wicked Ward where it just doesn't stop when it starts. So basically you just have, whenever you get hit by a spell, you basically, most of the time you just have energy recharge going constantly and it just tops you up. It's very strong, I think, defensively. Obviously, it sucks getting rid of the Overleech. Overleech is good. What you could potentially do, and what I might consider doing, is getting this mod right here. You see the top mod there. This is the Unstoppable node from Dragonaut. Movement speed cannot be modified below base value. You could get this on a jewel somewhere and drop the one step ahead node and then take the Overleech, so you get both, sort of the best of both worlds there. Obviously, the Unstoppable node is not as good as one step ahead, because one step ahead is just straight action speed, which can't be, below 108, versus Juggernaut's, which is only movement speed. So with that one, you can still be slowed, attack speed wise or whatever. And obviously, this actually raises your action speed in general to 108, which is really nice. So what you could do is you could drop that and get the Overleech. I will say I tried that for a little bit. I think it's super fine to just do what I'm doing here with the Wicked Ward and this. For the suppression. Feels super good recovery-wise, and yeah, I think overall it feels better than having the Overleech somehow. It's really weird, but obviously if you really like the Overleech, you can just drop this, get it on a jewel, or even, like, maybe you can just not be like me and value this less, and just ignore that you don't have it, and then take the Overleech, and it'll be super good as well. But yeah, the takeaway is that I think Spellbreaker plus Wicked Ward is a very, very powerful defensive combo, and I really like it, so would highly recommend. I'm doing some cool stun tech as well. So, I mentioned last time that I was doing Cast when Stunned in order to trigger Immortal Call. I'm still doing that. I think it actually works really well somehow. Again, combined with this Pantheon, which both gives you stun block recovery and you can only be stunned every 2 seconds, basically. It actually feels really good. I actually don't even really feel the stuns, and it basically just like works as a really nice, cheap cast when damage taken. Just triggers every 2 seconds to cast the Immortal Call for basically with no mana multiplier, and you can have a max level gem. So I think it's actually very strong. I also figured, why not throw in the connectivity in here? So again, unlike cast when damage taken, cast when stun doesn't have a level requirement. So I can just trigger like whatever high level skill you have. So you get a full level curse with no downsides, just triggered whenever you get stunned, which is again pretty much once every 2 seconds, sometimes lower if you get a bunch of evades. But like it's often enough to where I notice that this is up on enemies like pretty much all the time, and it's just like, just free, basically. It just triggers and it costs like no mana, and it's, yeah, I've been really pleased with this setup somehow. Obviously, if you don't like being slightly stunned every once in a while, you could do like Immutable Force, right? The stun block recovery jewel, you could put that in, and then you wouldn't feel the stuns at all, and this would just basically be a free setup. But personally, without that, even I don't feel them really, and I don't think I've ever died because of it. Yeah, I think this setup is actually very good. So yeah, I would recommend if you're doing something similar to this, at least try that out. It's very comfy, I think, and it's been working quite well for me. And just quickly, if you want to see the POE numbers, this is where we're at. See that the tankiness is quite a bit higher. This is obviously with Immortal Call ticked, because I'm that much of a loser. We're gonna tank it, and it's still very tanky. Again, this is slowly getting improved. I want to work on the Fizzit a little bit, and still this is still quite a good Fizzit, yeah, because of the evasion and stuff, so it's actually not too bad, but this is something I want to work on, and obviously want to work on everything in general to make it tankier, but that'll come with stuff like more ES and more evasion and more int will help a lot with that. So I'm estimating currently, let's see here, I'm estimating 40 hits. This is less scientific than the calculation with returning prod, because with returning prod, you know exactly how much damage you're doing. With Nimis, it's a bit different. Obviously, I'm not sure how many hits exactly, but like I think the skill right now does like it's like 60 total hits or something per cast, 60 something. So I've just been assuming I'm hitting like 2/3 or ish of that, which I think is pretty generous. And at that point, we're at 142 mil. It could I mean, if it's a big boss, you're definitely getting all the hits, and then it just skyrockets to like. We can just see how much this is with 60. It just skyrockets to like 200 mil, right? But I'm just estimating 40, which I think is pretty fair. But again, it's kind of hard to estimate that stuff, unfortunately. But it is very good. I mean, I've been one-phasing the Uber boss and stuff, so the single target clearly is there. And I think I have been feeling that Nimis, I think overall, it has been an increase in single target damage, like noticeable one. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so those are the changes so far for the week 2. I'm super happy with the character. It just keeps getting better and better. And obviously, my gear is like not really. I mean, obviously, the chest is actually quite nice. I got it. I'm pretty happy with this, but. Everything else is like again, the boots, the shield, these can be replaced with rares, and that'll be a lot better. The gloves I need to recraft. They're pretty basic right now, and have a bit of a. I'd rather have a base crit instead of more attack and cast speed. So I'm going to recraft these and make them really nice. I think I want to get some currency to do that. Obviously, the wand needs to be improved. It's just like a very pretty basic one. Although apparently the bases for this one are kind of hard to find now. But yeah, every single gear piece can be upgraded, and my damage can pretty much like I think like 2 to 3 times. I think. With better pieces, and then obviously the toughness is something I'm working on as well, and the character is just getting tankier and tankier. It does still occasionally die in. If you get like a map with like 8k combined wisps, and then you have like 100% deli on it, the abyss mobs in those maps, since I'm focusing on abyss, like a lot of people listen to the mechanic, some of those get real rippy, and those do still kill this character, so I'm working towards solving that to becoming tanky enough to where they won't. But that's a long-term project, obviously. I'm slowly upgrading it. It's been feeling great to play this character. The mapping feels so good with the Kinetic Blast and super high single target and very, very comfy and tanky. Trickster is just an amazing feeling ascendancy overall. Big fan. And the slow sort of progression of the character has been feeling really good. So I'm going to have a lot of crafting videos coming up for this character in the future. Crafting this chest is going to be a video. I tried to craft a mirror tier ring for this character, but it turned into something completely different, which hopefully will at least be a fun video for you to watch. And then we'll be trying to make pieces for all the slots, obviously, eventually. But holy shit, this character has been feeling so much fun, and yeah, I'm going to keep working on it and keep posting videos and crafting videos and stuff. And yeah, if you want to try it out, I highly recommend it. It's super fun. Trickster is just a great ascendancy to play. And yeah, all right, cool. Hopefully not too long of a video today. Covered a lot of it last one, so yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. And I do stream on Twitch pretty often now. I'm really enjoying this league, so I've been sort of longer streams now. You can find the link in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll be back with more videos in the future.